The vibes are sensational today because the NBA season is back and you are listening to the Hoop Genius podcast, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcast, the greatest podcast in the world, sponsored by NBA 2K23. Yeah, that's how we're coming this season. I'm done with the humble. I'm telling everyone, if you ain't listening to this podcast, you're missing out. Because we're going to be here 5 days a week, all season long. BJ Armstrong, Mo Moopsy, you know the damn vibes. But here, BJ, how you feeling? Excited for this season?
You know what, Mo? My wife said this morning, she said, why come when Mo calls, you always take the call in the refrigerator?
Tell them.
I said, because he's coming in hot and I got to chill.
Hey. We ready? Yesterday, we gave the people our predictions. Today, we got to get ready for tonight. And tonight,
yes,
the reigning champions, the reigning Eastern Conference champions, the reigning team who underachieved and missed the play-in, and the reigning process. Celtics, Warriors, Lakers, Sixers, all in action. We got Tatum, we got Curry, we got LeBron, we got Embiid. It's going to be a star-studded night. The Warriors getting their rings. Draymond will be there, not suspended. We're going to start over in the East, though, with the early tip game, or early for you, midnight for us over here, with the Celtics and the Sixers. What are you predicting to go down in that first matchup? Because this is going to be the first real test for the Ime Udoka-less Celtics. And bear in mind, they'll also be without Rob Williams III, aka the Time Lord, who celebrates his birthday yesterday. Shout out to the Time Lord. He's not going to be there. He's injured. And being their starting center is a big loss, especially going up against the Philadelphia 76ers team, which features one of the best centers we've seen in a long time.
Well, you know, Mo, I don't put much into preseason, as you know. Mm-hmm. And then the first half of the season. Now, I don't really start saying who's who until after 25 games in the season. Why 25 games? Is because that amount of games allows you to go around the league, get on the road a little bit, get to the West Coast, and you've played probably over half, 3/4 of the league by now, if not every team in the league, at least once.
Oh, yeah.
It's allowed me to see the scouting reports. It's allowed me to see your rotations. It's allowed me to see and make a projection on who's who at that particular time. Now, you talk about the first game of the season. There's a lot of hype because we're going on what we saw last season going into this season. Coach Udoka, that's well documented. You can go read about that, find out what's going on. However, when the Time Lord is not there, because the players who are playing in between those lines, that's what matters most. They've picked up Blake Griffin. I want to see how that works out. Al Horford is a year older. They've picked up Brogdon and all those guys. So I want to see what's going on. But more importantly, I want to see how this is going to go on. And I need about 20 games or so to see the rotations, see what's going on, see who fits with who's in shape, who's not in shape. You know, they have a new head coach. There's going to be a new vibe. There's going to be new energy. But of course, only thing we can go on is last year. So let's see how this plays out. I like their team. Of course, you and I were there for the finals. We saw their last game of the season, so it's fresh in our minds. Mm-hmm. You being full disclosure, you're a huge Celtics fan.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. And this is going to be a good test. However, let me see this game at about All-Star break. Then we can know, because last year, the Boston Celtics were really bad. They were awful at the first part of the year. And then when you saw them play in January, they were the best team in the league in the second half of the regular season.
Yep.
I mean, that's how these things change. So we know they have a very talented player. He's probably a top 10 player now, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, easily.
Jaylen Brown is on the cusp, right? He's on the cusp.
He's going to be an
He's
all-star
peeking
this
in the
season.
door.
He's going to be an all-star this season. He's going to have a big year.
He's in the top. He's a top 25 player. And getting better. I think this is a season he could have a breakout, like one of those breakout seasons that cements him and say, this is who I'm going to be for the remainder of my career. I like their team. I like what they did over the summer, the players that they acquired. But like I told you, I picked Philly. I think Philly is fantastic. I love the PJ Tucker pickup. I'm going to be looking at that matchup closely. Okay, PJ Tucker on Tatum and Brown because he has his work cut out. But they have wing players. Tybal is another wing player that can defend. I want to see how James Harden, what's his role going to be this year? Now he's in shape and all of these things. And of course, my man, Tyrese Maxey, he'll be the fastest guy on the court. I want to see how the reigning defensive player of the year is going to reel this guy in. So there's a lot of things for us to be looking out at. I don't think there's any matchup for the big fella, though. I don't think there's no matchup for him.
Well, historically, out of all the players in the NBA, Al Horford has given him the most problems out of everyone except for Aaron Baines, who actually, while we're there, shout out to Aaron Baines because he's back healthy, back playing basketball in the Australian League after the horrendous accident that happened to him last year, I believe, during the summer. So it's good to see him back on his feet because he had to relearn how to walk and everything. So shout out to Aaron Baines.
Right.
But when they had the front court of Baines and Horford, every time they met Philly in the playoffs, they would do a great job on Embiid. Horford seems to have the old man strength, because he's not bigger than him, he's not taller than him, but he's just got that strength. You know what I'm talking about, BJ? When he's just got that.
Oh,
edge.
I know what you're talking about. And, it's funny. There's always a player in the league that always has your number. And Al Horford may be that player. However, on paper, I'm going to go with what I see. There should be a huge advantage for Joel Embiid, but that's why we play the game. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. And of course, my preseason coach of the year, Glenn Doc Rivers.
The agenda continues, day 2.
Let's go. Let's go.
Speaking of that, I want to know what you're looking out for defensively from the Sixers, because there's no question on offense. Embiid's going to put up 30 a night. Harden he could put up 30 a night if he's back healthy. Right. Maxey, I reckon, can give you anywhere from 17 to 25 on any given night. What are you looking for defensively, though, from these guys? Because we know Embiid's trying to take a step up in protecting the rim, but Harden, big eyes are going to be on him.
Mo,
but what are you looking for?
Yeah, here's what I'm looking for. I think that's a great question. When we watch these games early, Mo, when I was playing and I was on good teams, we always had it was like an unwritten rule, and you don't see it much. Maybe you do. I just don't hear about it as much. You try to get 3 stops in a row, and then that was that was like a feather in your cap. Can we get 3 stops in a row, and then go down and score?
That's how I play 2K.
Yeah, you try to get 3 stops in a row. Now, what I'm going to look for with the Sixers is what is their commitment to that, getting 3 stops in a row? Because if you get 3 stops in a row, now you pretty much have a handle on that team, whatever set, right? Because they're probably going to run 3 different plays. And it doesn't matter what play they run, you have them under control. And I want to see if Philadelphia is committed to the defensive end. Offensively, they can score. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, they're going to figure that out. I have no doubt about that. But can they commit and make the same commitment to the defensive end and get 3 stops in a row, for a series? When I say a series, consecutively over and over again during the course of the game. If you're able to do that, now you really have my attention. So I want to see how committed they are. Now, I think the Celtics understand this because they don't have as many options on the offensive end that can carry a team like the Sixers, but they are definitely committed, at least last year, to the defensive end. And now you have to recommit this year, and they should be good this year as well.
It's interesting. Mazzulla, the new coach of the Celtics, said last year we were all about defense. Now we're turning our attention to offense. And I don't think that's to say that they're disregarding defense, in the sense that this is how we play defense as a team. And now everyone knows it. We can focus more into fine-tuning the offense so it's not just Tatum and Brown taking it in turns to go isolation. So for the Celtics, how different do you expect them to look given a changing coaching staff? Or do you think we'll see a very similar style of play that we did in the NBA Finals? Hopefully without the 20 turnovers, or I will lose my mind on day one of the seeds. BJ, if there's no podcast tomorrow, it just means the Celtics had 30 turnovers. I'm going to give you guys the warning right now.
Well, they probably will. So that's going to be no surprise, because you and I were there, and Mo, ladies and gentlemen, had his paper out and he was tracking the turnovers during the course of the game.
I ran out of paper.
Yes, you did, because there were a lot of turnovers. Well, I'm going to give the Celtics a break because, I wasn't a huge believer, I have to say this, of the Time Lord. It was brought to my attention early by Mo of his impact on the defense, especially on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. And as I began to watch him over and over again, I said, you know what? Okay, this isn't just a good matchup. This is who he is and his impact on the game. Now, Marcus Smart received the Defensive Player of the Year, deservingly so. But let me tell you something. The anchor of the defense is the Time Lord.
Yeah, if he didn't that works. If he didn't get injured, he would have been my pick for Defensive Player of the Year now.
If he's and look, you could say a lot of ifs and couldas and wouldas, but let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If the big fella was healthy in the NBA Finals, even though they had all of those turnovers, because every game he played above average, they won. No, seriously. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the Warriors. They were terrific, da-da-da. But when the big fella felt good, when that gimpy knee that he had was feeling good that day, he really was impactful. Mm-hmm. He's just an impactful player on determining the outcome of the game and what he does and what he brings. So when he gets healthy, then I think it gives us, the fans and people who cover the game like you and I, the opportunity to say this is who they're going to be. But they're going to need the big fella, because the big fella, he erases all of the mistakes. He anchors the defense. He does all the heavy lifting for them on the defensive end. And they don't have another player who can do half of what he does. Mm-hmm. And he's just that good on the defensive end.
I don't think many teams have a player who could do half of what he does, because it's not just rim protection. You saw him swatting 3-pointers, starting in the key, and as soon as the shot goes up, he's blocking it. So that's the first matchup. I'm going to have to press you here, BJ, for a winner. Who do you think takes the opening night dub? Celtics Sixers at home. You think the Sixers are going to come in and steal the win?
Yeah.
Did you see the new Celtics uniforms that came out in honor of the great Bill Russell? They
I think I may have.
They don't look amazing, but they look much better on the team, which is shocking. That NBA jerseys look better on NBA athletes than a regular human. BJ, I just sent them to you if you want to have a look. Okay. Down the side of the jerseys, there is 11 little gold logos to symbolize the Bill Russell's 11 championships. It's got the number 6 patch that I believe every team should be wearing this season. The font on the front is the same font on a restaurant that I believe Bill Russell used to own in Boston. And they're going to wear them on some special edition nights, including a tribute game for the great pioneer of the franchise. What do you think about those threads, BJ?
Looks nice. You got to buy one, right? How special is that? You got a player who won 11 championships. Mm-hmm. Looks amazing. Celtics, they look great in the NBA Finals, Mo. I can tell you that much.
Yes, sir. Well, the other matchup, moving right along, is the reigning champions who beat the Celtics in the NBA Finals, the Golden State Warriors, taking on the media's favorite team, the LA Lakers. The key talking point here is obviously Draymond is going to be playing. And I already know there's going to be a play where Draymond throws an assist to Jordan Poole and then he high-fives him and everyone's going to be going crazy, because that's just how the internet works. But easy work for the Warriors to start their season off. They're going to collect their rings, because I remember when we had this conversation last season, when we were talking about the Milwaukee Bucks collecting their rings, you always said that's the hardest game to win, is the one in which you lifted your banner and collected your ring. So for you guys, the new listeners who weren't here a season ago, BJ, why is it the most difficult game to win opening night when you're collecting your championship?
Well, it throws your rhythm off because your team no longer is in charge of the whatever your routine is. Okay, when I say your routine, the lights go off, and now announcing your players, your team kind of has its own rhythm. Everyone kind of knows. The league comes in now, TV comes in, and now they are in charge of the evening, and it's delayed. It's throwing you off. You warm up, then you got to cool down, and they got to announce all of the players. And
NBA players are creatures of habit. A lot of the players, they have a set routine they go through every game day, set warm-ups they go through, set rituals they go through, a little bit of superstition going on over there. So I hear what you're saying. But do you think
it just throws your rhythm?
The other side as well is the opposition has to watch you raise your banner, especially for someone like a LeBron James, who's coming closer and closer to the end, if his career is ever going to end, of his career, that he's going to watch that banner go up and really be hungry to go and get one more. How much fuel do you think that will add to the Lakers tank before this one?
When you're 26, 27, you look for things like that to add fuel. LeBron is what, 37, 38? Yeah. You know what? This is another night. This is another night for him. So I think right now, this will be a good test for the Lakers to figure out how good they are and how good they could be. So I expect them to come out and play hard, play well. And Coach Ham, I think with this game, he probably has 4 or 5 guys right now that he trusts, right? LeBron, AD, Pat Bev, Russell. He has 4 or 5 guys. Now he's looking to build that out. Say, if I can get 10 guys that I can rely on every single night and find out the chemistry of these guys, who plays well with each other, because that's what I think he was trying to do. I think this would be a big achievement. And you're playing against arguably one of, if not the best team in the league right now, the Golden State Warriors. I know it's game 1, but they're arguably better than they were coming into this same time last year.
So for those of you guys who don't know, we're actually recording this the day before. So BJ, do you expect Russell Westbrook to come off the bench for opening night?
This is what I expect for Russell. This is an interesting team, and I don't even look at it. If you're coaching this team right now, here is the dilemma that we're all faced with. Okay. And Coach Ham, he's got to manage the game, and he knows that has not 1, but 2 players. His 2 best players are not going to be available probably more than 70 games this year. Okay. Mm-hmm. That puts him in an awkward position because you can say what you want to about Russell. Russell is going to show up and play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all right, so Russell comes off the bench. LeBron doesn't play. Well, what's going to happen immediately? You're going to need Russell. AD doesn't play. What's going to happen immediately?
Mm-hmm.
Russell, AD, and LeBron doesn't play a game or 2 or longer. What's going to happen? I think what this is really all about, if you're asking me, because I'm not expecting LeBron James to play 70-plus games. I'm not. And I'm hoping AD plays 70-plus games, but you can't. What I personally think is going on is the following. You're trying to find space for Russell to be Russell. Because as we just noted 5 minutes earlier, athletes love to have their routine set. And when you come into a game and your role changes game to game, week to week, you hear players saying, I got to get my rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get my rhythm. Now, Russell, more than any player, and I'm not making an excuse for Russell, and I'm a Russell, I like Russell. But let me tell you honestly, because he's not going to say it and he doesn't make excuses, but you got to say it. I can't think of a player whose role hasn't been defined, and he's an all-star, a Hall of Fame player, and he's coming in a year 2, and we don't even know his role.
Mhm.
What's his role?
On the Lakers?
With the Lakers.
He is the bulletproof vest for the team. He is the one who's going to absorb all the hatred from the media and the fans.
And he's the only one that shows
Rob
up.
Pelinka and Jeannie Buss to keep getting away with it. And
And
I'll tell you
he's
this,
the most
he didn't
consistent guy to show up.
if he didn't show up last year, they might have won the first pick and given it away because they traded it away. But you know what I mean? Like, what did he have?
Exactly. I mean, Russ. So I think Coach Ham is doing him a favor. Look, if you know every night you're coming off the bench, regardless of what happens, because if he comes off the bench and they don't win, now who you gonna blame?
Mhm.
If he comes off the bench and averages 18, 5, and 5, think about it. If he just comes off the bench and does that, this guy is in conversation for Sixth Man of the Year.
The most improved, even potentially. If the Lakers are winning games.
Well, I don't think he's. How can you be most improved? The guy's average a triple double. I don't know if you can improve that. But what I'm saying is, at least allow him to find his routine and rhythm within the game, because he's going to play. The guy deserves it. I mean, he shows up, he plays hard, he's in shape, but he needs the ball in his hand. LeBron has it, AD needs it, and let's face it, those guys aren't like runners like they used to be. And I think it could be good for Russell. And then all of a sudden now the responsibility, I've never seen a team that their best players don't take any responsibility for the wins or losses of the team. And it always falls on Russell's shoulders, but it is what it is. And so I think Coach Ham is just trying to find, where can his team operate best? And if that means Russell can play 10 to 12 minutes a night on the floor where he's clearly the number one option, because that's what he's used to. He's the number one option. He's been that for the majority of his career. And he's done that, and it's just been him. And I can only think of another time where he probably deferred a little bit, and that was to KD. But KD was a role player, and they were both young, so there were a lot of opportunities in the way they played.
I don't know if KD's ever been a role player, but I hear what you're saying.
Who's this?
You just said KD was a role.
No, I said he deferred to KD.
Oh, yeah.
He deferred to KD. Okay,
Yeah.
KD was clearly he was the best talent. But I don't think Russ always deferred to him.
Do you think he deferred to him? Do you think we finally see the season of AD at the 5, or do you think we're going to see AD still playing the 4 and they're going to slide someone in, Thomas Bryant? Or
I think AD. From what I can see, AD. If the team is going to win a championship, AD is going to have to play the 4. Okay, because you have to anchor. You have to anchor the defense. And AD, if he's a 4, now you can have a 5-man play in the dunker spot, which AD needs.
So you're going to have a Thomas Bryant or a Damian Jones?
Yeah. Well, again, I think you need rim protection. I don't think those guose are the elite rim protectors like Time Lord and the McGee's.
They're not in the same
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys. It was the guy at Cleveland. I can't think of his name right now.
Allen.
Not Mobley. Jared Allen, those guys. Joel Embiid. You need those guys. But then you say, where is he most effective? He's most effective as a stretch 5.
Yeah.
That's where he's most effective.
He just doesn't like playing it.
He just doesn't want. I don't think he doesn't like playing. I just think it's too much weight that he's playing against on the other end.
Yeah.
He's playing against Jokic. He's playing against Embiid. He's playing against those guys, DeAndre Jordan. Those guys are big, and you playing against those guys over and over. And I think it just wears him down. So where do I think he'll end up playing? If we want to get to these 70 games, you better put him at the 4.
Okay.
If you want to put it now, this is how, if I were coaching the team, this is what I would do. AD, start him at the 4, and then only let him play. And half of his game, I'm going to make sure he plays the backup 5. He only gets a 6-minute run. I don't care if he makes his first 5 shots or he misses his first 5. I'm looking for AD to play against the backup 5 because I want to force every team in the league to shorten their rotation when they play against me, because AD, my matchup is how do I get AD playing against your backup five? I'm looking for that because think about it. If you take AD out early with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, now your starting center has to finish the quarter.
Okay.
If you take your backups, if you take your center out, because most coaches aren't coaching matchup, they're coaching their rotation.
Yeah.
They're coaching it. Okay. So now if you take your backup, if you take your starting center out and put your backup center, 9 times out of 10, your backup center doesn't have elite rim protection. So we should be able to attack the rim. And then I'm okay with that. If you keep him out there for 12 minutes and I bring AD back at the end of the quarter, that guy's not going to be fresh. AD has a 6-minute plus television rest. Advantage me.
Yeah.
Every single time. And AD is better than all of the backups in the league.
I hear it.
Now I have an advantage for my second unit, and we're going to play with AD, and we're going right through them playing. And so to me, that's the advantage with AD. But if you play him exclusively against the starters, now I think it's a problem. When he plays against the Lakers, he plays against Philly, because I think Joel Embiid is probably his toughest matchup. I'm sure there are others, but he should only play half the time against Joel Embiid. But the other half against Montrezl Harrell, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, around the NBA, there's not many players of Embiid's caliber at the 5 position. Even if he was going up against Rob Williams or a JaVale McGee, it's not like they're getting post-ups on him that he's going to actually have to physically body them up. Whereas if it's a Jokic or an Embiid, then that's the problem. But I would like this time to remind everyone who once compared AD to Giannis, and the people who compared AD to Tim Duncan, or the people who compared AD and LeBron to Kobe and Shaq, there's still time to apologize, guys. I'm still waiting. I will be waiting forever. So I'm ready when you guys are. Just so.
Hey,
BJ, do you remember when we were on TV doing the finals in 2020, and they tried to tell me this was the new Shaq and Kobe, LeBron and AD playing in the Disney bubble? That was the worst.
You know,
that was
in my era, we had a song in my era by the great Chuck D, who's a friend of mine and Public Enemy. And he said, "Don't believe the hype, Mo."
We got the classics. So, do you have the Golden State Warriors taking the win on opening night?
Yes.
Or do you think the Lakers could steal one?
Yes. Yeah, well, anything's possible, but I'm going to go with the Lakers. I'm going to go with the Warriors.
With the Warriors. I hear that. It's going to be interesting to see. We're going to be here all season long, providing these podcasts. Shout out to everyone who listens along, subscribes, leaves a review, leaves a rating. Shout out to everyone who's in a Discord as well. It's getting lit in there. And yeah, I can't wait. Let's the season get underway. We're going to be back tomorrow to recap the action. And you know the vibes, guys. Your favorite podcaster's favorite podcast. We're here all season long. BJ, Mo, doing what we do best. So make sure you subscribe, leave a 5-star review, rating, and most importantly, get buckets.